So I'm going to put a plug in for a book that I recommend to people on a regular basis, and it's been incredibly helpful. Oops, move this over to me. The book is called The Four Tendencies, and it's written by a woman by the name of Gretchen Rubin. And she discusses or describes how people respond to tendencies, to expectations. And she broke it into four categories. So I'll try on the fly to describe these four categories. It's important to note that, expectations play such a critical role in all of our relationships. So it's important to see that there is this tendency among individuals, and it's related to our temperament. And you should know temperament is something that's fixed throughout the course of our lifetime. It's not going to change. So if you understand what someone's tendency is in relationship to expectations, that can have a profound impact on the quality of your relationship because you'll know how to communicate with them. So let me see if I can do this. So the first tendency is an upholder. It's someone who responds well to their own internal expectations and external expectations. Their employer, other people. They're very good at living up to expectations. They do the job, do it in a timely fashion, do it beforehand, line things up, and might be a little bit judgmental of the rest of us who don't do such a good job at living up to expectations. So that's an upholder. And the next category is an obliger, and that's someone who doesn't respond to their own internal expectations. Oh, I need to go to the gym, I need to eat right. They don't do that very well, but they respond very well to other people. I would call them like the salt of the earth. They're the people that keep the world running. The woman that gets all the kids to school on time, that saves her neighbor who needs to go to the hospital, the fireman who's always there and rescuing people. So that's an obliger. And then there's the questioner. Questioners don't respond to external expectations. They only respond to their own internal expectations. So they annoy the heck out of their bosses with question after question after question. They annoy their spouses. They often obstruct and keep things from moving forward with their many questions. And curiously, they don't have much patience for other people's questions. They're the one that's allowed to do the questioning. They're like the little judge. And then there's the rebel. And that's where I really paid attention in reading this book because I think that there are quite a few addicts that have a temperament that's consistent with her label of the rebel. And the rebel is interesting in that they don't respond to external expectations or internal expectations. It's very difficult to communicate with them. It's very difficult to get cooperation out of them. Very curious individuals. The one thing they do that will get them motivated and will get them to act is love. They're motivated by one thing, and that's love. And I would say that this fits the rebel addict label. And of course, people can have one fixed tendency and then parts of two other pieces. So I would encourage you again to read that book, The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. She gives great examples of how to communicate with each uh, person that falls within each category of the tendencies, and I found it quite helpful. I think this would richly improve your understanding of the addict in your life and but yourself as well. So you read it to figure out where you fall, and she gives the weaknesses of each tendency, so that's helpful too. And then you can read it again to kind of figure out the people in your lives that you love, where they fall. All right. So, oh, the other thing I wanted to say about this particular passage is that when people come into a 12-step program, after they begin to share and we get to know them a little bit better, one of the things that we find is that they frequently are just so exhausted that they push themselves to the point where they're physically sick. You see a lot of parents that have cancer or heart problems or, whatever is going on, they're dying. Sometimes a slow death and sometimes a more quick one. Um, I, I also often see parents who are trying to get ready to retire, and they've got a young person living with them who's never even, they have no track record, no proven track record, um, at working or accomplishing or finishing anything. And so they're overcompensating and someone else is underperforming. And so I just wanted to put that out there for those of you that there's definitely a pattern going on there. And if you're in that category, it's really important to recognize where you're at and reflect and make some appropriate changes. So here we go. January 21st. Before Al-Anon, I could never tell the difference between what was and was not my business. I felt I had to take care of everyone around me until I couldn't stand it anymore. I usually kept this up until I became physically ill. My body tried to tell me to pay attention to my own needs, but I simply wasn't ready to listen. Al-Anon helps me to listen and learn from my body, my soul, and my higher power. How do I do it? I try to check in with myself on a regular basis. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? If so, I can make a point of stopping what I am doing long enough to attend to my needs. When I pay attention to the messages I am being given, I have a better chance of detaching from other people and situations, should that be appropriate. For me, this is the foundation of serenity. Today's reminder: I no longer have to wait until my health, my financial situation, or my emotional state collapses before paying attention to my needs. Today, I can practice becoming more aware of what my inner voice is trying to teach me. I can listen and learn. And the quote is, don't listen to friends when the friend inside of you says, do this. Mahatma Gandhi. So yes, I hope that this resonates with you if it's appropriate, and you pivot and listen to your body and do what we're all made to do. And that is to take care of ourselves. That's our first priority. And I pray you have self-love and the willingness to do it.